Hello and welcome to 50 Fabulous Knits. My name is Pia, and yeah, if you are a returning viewer, thanks for coming back to spend some time with me. You will probably have noticed a slight change in scenery here. This week I am coming to you from my summer house on Moss, a beautiful island in one of Denmark's fjords. And if you are a new viewer, thanks for stopping by. I really hope you will enjoy this episode. This week I am wearing my scrappy striber. This is a pattern that I released last week, and I cannot thank you enough for the way that you have received this pattern. Thanks to everyone who bought the pattern, who are happily knitting away. This was originally designed with short sleeves, but I am wearing a long sleeve version today. At the last minute, I decided to actually add not a pattern for long sleeves, but just a general description of how to make the sleeves longer. I mean, it is basically just continue knitting and then doing a few decreases along the way, finishing off with a rolled over hem like you have it up here at the neckline and also down at the bottom. So the pattern is really designed for you to use all your scraps, and I have made it with a gauge that calls for 20 stitches for 4 inches. That is a gauge that you can meet with a lot of different yarns. The versions that I have made are knit with a combination of sock yarn, fingering weight, and some sports weight, and that gives this very light and airy and sort of drapey material. But you can definitely also meet gauge with a DK or a worsted weight, which will give you a denser fabric, probably more suited for fall. I'm definitely gonna make myself 1 or 2 for fall. But also one of my testers knitted up in a DK weight cotton linen blend, which was beautiful and so appropriate for summer. So yeah, I'm trying to be modest about it, but I am really happy with this pattern. It is so versatile, and I love the finished sweater. It is so easy to wear. So yeah, I do have some new finished objects to share with you this week. And one of them is something that I have been talking about repeatedly on this podcast. It is my Texas tee. It is finished, finally. Took a while. What I ended up doing was just putting 1 star right here at the bottom. I decided, you know what? It's called the Lone Star State. I only need 1 star. I have knit, ripped back, and knit and ripped back a million times on this sweater. Originally, I thought that I was gonna have the stars going all around down here, but it just, yeah, first it was super difficult to figure out how to make a 5-pointed star in knit, but yeah, I got some good help from my Danish viewers, and this star it's just exactly as I wanted the star to be. But when I then knit it up, going all around the bottom, it was just too much going on just around the waistline. I didn't like it, but this, I really love it. It is such a simple, easy to wear t-shirt, oversized, some deep raglan sleeves, and the only thing that makes it a little special is the ripping down here where I did all the pearls in the contrasting color and the knits in the main color. And then I simply embroidered the star here. And it's, as you can see, I'm fiddling with it because it is, it's put not on the front, mostly on the front, but also going around a little bit to the back. So yeah, I am so happy with this. Now all I have to do is write up the pattern, send it out and testing, and hopefully I can release this soon, because this to me is a summer knit. I am well aware that it wouldn't be wearable in Texas in the summer. It's way too hot over there. But because it is so drapey and airy and loose fitting, I think I can get away with it definitely in Danish summer, but also probably in Italian summer. So yeah, if you want to hear more about the yarn and the process, just go back to the last, 5 or 6 podcasts. I bought this yarn when I was in Texas, and I don't know, the yarn is so amazing. So that probably made me a little starstruck. No pun intended. Anyway, Texas tea finished, off my needles, on my person, and I am loving it. When I came up with this Lone Star solution, I could see that I would have a lot of leftovers. This gold color, I had a full skein of it, and it is like a single ply merino. I had close to 400 meters after doing the Texas tea. And yeah, I really want to use up my single skeins. I want to use up my scraps. I can do that in my scrappy sleeper. But I also want to use up my single skeins. I mean, they're pretty. I love looking at them, but I also love knitting with them. So I decided that I would try to see if I could get a swike out of it. And I could. A lot of modifications, but I was able to get a swike out of one skein, not even a full skein of single ply merino. The swike is, of course, this beautiful, amazing pattern from the genius that is Caitlin Hunter from Boylan Knitworks. There you go. I have knit this 2 times before. The first one that I knit was it was knit completely to pattern in a deep blue and a golden contrast color. Then I knit one in some black hand-spun alpaca with one of my own hand-dyed yarns, a speckled white as the contrasting color. And for that, I had to play around with the gauge because the hand-spun was much heavier than what was suggested in the pattern. What I have done with this one to make it work for one skein is that I have opened up the gauge. I went up a couple of needle sizes so that I got this, again, very drapey, airy fabric out of it. I made it with, again, my favorite gauge, 20 stitches to 4 inches. And then I just, yeah, went down a couple of sizes, picked a beautiful skein for the contrasting color, and swike it was. As you can see, I ran out of yarn down here. So I made a little pattern here and then the ripping in the contrasting color. The main color is from Chasing Rabbits Fiber Co. It is called Bog. And the This one, the contrasting color, is one of the skeins that I bought at Hobby Lobby, Yarn Bee Authentic, in the colorway Tabby. So yeah, I'm loving my spike. It fits like a glove, and yeah, I really love that I was able to use every last bit of my beautiful golden yarn. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be wearing it on top of the stripes, but I'm sure that you can appreciate the beauty of the spike even though I'm wearing long sleeves under. I'm sure that everyone knows this, but just in case that one person is sitting out there thinking, how do you figure out how many sizes to go up or down if you substitute yarn? I'm just gonna real quickly tell you. What I do, I always go for the easy solution. So I will knit up a swatch, I will figure out my gauge. And my gauge in this case was, as I said, 20 stitches to 10 centimeters. Then I will measure myself. I will add whatever positive ease I want. And in this case, I wanted a sweater that was 100 centimeters in chest circumference. What I then do is I do the math, and this is simple math. How many stitches do I need for 100 centimeters if I am using 20 stitches for 10 centimeters? 200. Not even difficult. Then I go to the pattern and I look at the stitch count just after separating for the sleeves, and I see which size comes closest to the number of stitches that I need. And then I knit that size. Of course, you have to be mindful of your row gauge because that will be different too. But you measure as you go, and since it is knit top down, it's so easy to just try it on again and again and again. So yeah, spike using one skein of the main color and then not even half a skein of the contrasting color. So another one skein wonder. I love those. I haven't even shown off the spike as a whip here on my English podcast. I showed it last week on my Danish podcast where I had suffered from a bad case of castonitis. I had cast on 7 new projects. I didn't bring everything because, as I mentioned in the introduction, I am traveling. But of course, when you finish one sweater, it only makes sense that you should cast on for the next one, right? And again, I had a single skein that I wanted to use. I had this silk mohair. This is one of my own colorways, and I really wanted to see how it would knit up because it's a colorway that I created together with my granddaughter. She really loves to dye yarn. So we created a colorway together, and it is this minty blue with some multicolored speckles to it. And I really wanted to see how it would knit up in the mohair version. So I decided to do a ranunculus because you can always get a ranunculus out of one skein. I paired it with some drops brushed alpaca silk. This one in the white. And I'm loving how this is knitting up. This is such a pretty color. I really love the life that the mohair brings without it being too minty or too colored. It's just so pretty. And as you can see, I'm pretty far along. I need to do some ripping and then my ranunculus will be done. Yeah. The ranunculus, of course, I'm sure you know, made by Midori Hirose. talented Japanese designer. Yeah, I think all podcasters probably have knit a ranunculus by now, but I can completely understand why. It is so beautiful, and it's fun to knit with the yoke. There's some interest, and then after that it's just TV knitting, going round and round, stockinette, and before you know it, you're done. Because this is knit at a 6mm, 6.5mm, something like 6mm needles. So it's a fast one. I brought this project as well, and this is very special to me. Just as I said with my Texas tea, the fact that the yarn that I was working with was so special made me a little starstruck. I was like, oh, I need to make this perfect. The Texas tea was extra difficult because it was a tribute to a place that I love with all of my heart. So there was a lot of pressure on me to get that t-shirt perfect, just perfect. And don't get me wrong, it was myself putting the pressure on myself, as you do. This project is all about the yarn. So it is going to be this huge shawl. I'm not even half done. I'm going to make it really, really long, but not too deep, because I'm not a fan of too deep shawls with like this, a lot of fabric in front. I always use them around my neck. So it's not gonna be deeper than it is now, but it's gonna be much longer. But what makes this really, really special is, of course, the yarn. It's so beautiful. It is a very, very subtle fade, and you can barely see the yarns fading. Just gonna put a photo of the fade here. I've been wanting to do a subtle fade for a long time. I'm not necessarily a fan of the fades where you go from where you fade between colors that are very, very different. That becomes a bit too busy for me. I can appreciate it on others, but I just know that I wouldn't get a lot of wear out of that. But this subtle fade, it's actually more like a dip dye effect. The problem is I'm not able to make a fade. I'm not able to dye up a fade like the one that I got here. So I ordered it from one of the super talented Danish hand dyers. They're called Birk and Bell. Yeah, I'm gonna put their website in my show notes in the down bar, where there'll also be a link to my blog where you can find all the show notes for previous episodes. Maybe information I should have put in the beginning. Anyway, I wrote to them and asked, can you make a fade for me? And Birk then made this just amazing fade. Actually, the working title, what I'm calling this project in my mind, is Fading Birk. Because, yeah, I have used up the darkest and then I faded into one that is slightly lighter. And I really... yeah, I'm gonna show you my cakes, but they look terrible because, but here you go. These are the three colors that I still need to finish. Yeah, my cakes look horrible. They're impossible to knit with. I have this shapeless wooden ball winder. And yeah, it's pretty. It's super, super pretty. And it's kind of expensive, which made me feel really special when I was gifted it for Mother's Day last year. But it does a poor job of winding balls, and I actually think that I'm just gonna buy an old, like the Knit Picks plastic variety that I had before. It's yeah. Anyway, the shawl, I'm loving knitting on it, and now I want to show you the right side so you can see the lace sections. It's some super simple lace, but I really love how it adds some interest, and it also adds extra drape to the fabric. Yeah, I'm really loving this. I love knitting on it, and I can't wait to wear it. I can't wait to fade in the next colors. Oh, I'm really excited for this fade, because I think it's gonna look absolutely gorgeous once it's done. This long shawl, just going from the dark, moody mauve colors and up until the much lighter, actually more pinkish tones. It's gonna be beautiful. I will be entering the shawl into the shawl cal that goes on with Amy from The Meaningful Stitch. She has this all the shawls cal that she's running currently. The problem is my Instagram account has been hacked. I cannot access Instagram, which is terrible. I am trying to tell myself, it's Instagram. Calm down. You'll live. But I really hope that I'll be able to access it soon. Anyway, I'm trying to just see it as a detox from social media, and as you can tell, I am still alive and I have not been able to access it the whole week. So there. Now I am going to introduce a new segment to this podcast. It will be called Knitting for Lucas, because my coming grandson over in Texas will be named Lucas, and again, I don't want his mom to see what I'm knitting for him, so I'm gonna make a special segment and she can then go away. Go away, Maria. Come back later. I love you. But you can't see this. So bye for now. Knitting for Lucas. The first thing that I have made for little Lucas is a red hat. A teeny tiny red hat. And I couldn't resist putting a little green stalk on top of it. Looks like a tomato, right? Because Lucas is half Brazilian, half Danish, he will need something red when he leaves the hospital after being born. For his brother, I need a huge red blanket, but I decided to go for something smaller this time, so a little red hat it is. This is not a pattern. I just, cast on, I think, 70 stitches. I knit, made some decreases here up on the crown, and then the little I-cord up here. I'm sure that he will look absolutely adoring, and of course, I will be there when he is carried out of the hospital. Of course I am. I can't wait. I have also started a new project for Lucas. I am, of course, gonna knit a blanket for him as well. His brother got a blanket, Lucas is gonna get a blanket. This time I am actually following the pattern for my happy shawl, this one. I'm just knitting it at a much tighter gauge because with a baby you don't want these huge holes with fingers and toes poking out. So I'm knitting it at a much tighter gauge, but actually following the very same pattern. I am knitting it out of some Drops Merino Extra Fine, which is, it's a really nice yarn for baby knits. It is absolutely super, super, super soft. It is superwash treated, which is, well, not perfect for the environment, but actually perfect for the young, busy parents who want some wool around their baby, but don't want to hand wash. And it comes in so many pretty, pretty colors. So I chose this icy blue, and I'm loving this. I'm still just knitting the center of the hap. So yeah, right now it's just garter stitch back and forth, but soonish I'm going to be able to pick up all the stitches and make the feather and fern border, and then the knitted on border that closes the whole thing at the end. The pattern for the hap shawl will be coming out real soon. Maybe I will get it out this weekend, but I will definitely have it out next week. And I wish I could say that I'm gonna let you know on Instagram. Well, I'm not, but it will be coming out this week. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I had a really good tester who helped me write up some charts. The outer border is pretty difficult to chart out, but she managed to do it. And of course, there will be both charts and written instructions. And I would say that if you never knit lace before and you want to try your hands at it, this would be a great project to start with, because you start out with just this garter stitch, which is super easy. Then you go into the feather and fern, which is actually a very easy, very, very easy lace pattern. And then you finish off with the knitted on border, which is a bit more challenging, not difficult by any stretch, but a bit more challenging. So after knitting the hap, you will actually be ready to take on some of the more difficult lace projects that are out there. That was it for the creative content this week. As I said, I didn't bring a lot of knitting because I was traveling. I just brought these three projects. 3 projects is actually enough to bring for a long weekend. But anyway, the week has been, it's been really, really nice. We have had some beautiful weather here in Denmark. It's been warm and sunny, and everyone has just been running out of their homes, just getting out, getting some vitamin D and some company. Denmark is slowly opening up again, and yeah, Peter and I are vaccinated, and we celebrated that with going out to have a dinner, which was, I mean, wonderful. Yeah, and then we decided to go up here. This is, yeah, as I told in the introduction, this house is on Mors, which is an island that is in one of the Danish fjords up north. It is a house that has been in Peter's family for many, many, many years. His father was born here on Mors. So as a child, Peter would spend a lot of time up here. And when I came into the family, well, I tagged along and came up here, and yeah, I really like this place. It's very, very special. It's funny how Denmark is so small. I mean, you can literally drive from one end of the country to the other end in 4 hours. No rush. It's tiny, but still we have this huge differences from one place to the other. I can barely understand what people say up here. And I'm not kidding. I can barely understand. After 35 years, I'm beginning to understand. If they make an effort and I make an effort, then I can understand them. But yeah, dialects are strong in Denmark, and this one is one of the difficult ones. A lot of Peter's family still live up here, so when we come, we take some time to just relax here in the summer house, and then we go visit with everyone. And yeah, I really enjoy being here. The nature up here is amazing. This is, we're right at the beach. I mean, you cannot not be at the beach on Mors. And it's just to go for those long walks or along the sea and just listening to the waves coming in, and it's so beautiful. It's really amazing. This is also the island has like developed into this hotspot for creative people, especially in the yarny end of things. There's a mohair farm up here that makes beautiful yarn. And we have one of our best hand dyers, it's yarn, living up here. So yeah, if I should have just a little bit of time left, I know what to do with it. There's also the main city here on the island. There is such a cozy little town. It has this really small town feel to it, and it's just, I love how it's so cute and unassuming, and yeah, it's a wonderful place to visit. So we are gonna enjoy a long weekend here before we return back and maybe start getting ready for our big move to Italy. We are moving on June 28th. So we still have time. We still have plenty of time. No need to worry, but maybe we should start thinking about getting just some of our ducks in a row. Maybe. I definitely need to figure out what yarns to bring. Should I bring all my whips, or yeah. So I have a busy but happy week ahead of me. I really hope that you are very, very happy wherever you are in the world. I hope that you're safe, that you're happy, that your knitting is giving you lots of joy. If not, it's time to put it aside, cast on something new and shiny. You can always come back to the other thing if it deserves your time and effort. Remember that your knitting should always deserve your time and effort. If not, it's okay to cast it aside. Rip it out, reuse the yarn for something else. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope that you will come back again next time. If you want to stick around, I will include some footage from our place up here, a little bit of the house and some of the nature around us. And yeah, be safe, and I will see you next time.